It's a 2019 NBA draft. The Washington Wizards have the 9th pick in the first round. And it's about to be an historic moment for Japanese basketball.
With the 9th pick in the 2019 NBA draft, the Washington Wizards select Rui Hachimura.
But he's not the first player to make it to the NBA from Japan. 1 year prior to this, Yokohama-born Yuta Watanabe, who went to George Washington University, would go undrafted, and after performing well for the Brooklyn Nets in the 2018 Summer League, would then get picked up by the Memphis Grizzlies. Yuta Tabuse from BYU Hawaii went undrafted, but would play a few games for the Phoenix Suns in 2004. But the first ever drafted player from Japan was Yasutaka Okayama from Ashiki Kumamoto, 7'8", drafted by the Golden State Warriors in 1981 in the 8th round. But he would never go on to play in the NBA. So the reason for this being such a historical moment for Japanese basketball is because Rui Hachimura is the first Japanese-born basketball player to be selected in the first round top 10 draft pick in the NBA. Hachimura is definitely living up to expectations already in his rookie season here in the NBA. Playing 41 games this season, missing some to an injury, averaging 13.4 points per game, along with 6 rebounds. But the question is, who is Rui Hachimura and where did his basketball journey begin? Rui Hachimura was born in the center of Japan in the Toyama Prefecture, located in the Chubu region of Honshu. He was born to a Japanese mother and a Beninese father, and his name Rui means base, which was given to him by his grandfather, who was a big fan of the game of baseball, which would be the first sport that young Hachimura would take up. The problem for young Rui Hachimura was that he was picking up a lot of injuries in his knees while playing baseball, and it didn't take him long to realize that his next favorite sport was the game of basketball would be the new pathway for Rui Hachimura, and a new superstar was on the rise and soon to be. He would then go on to play high school basketball at Mesei High School in Sendai, Japan, where he would go on to be one of the greatest Japanese high school basketball players of all time. He became an instant success, dominating every single opponent he went up against. And he not only became a superstar, but he became an iconic basketball player. And at this time, there were many saying the same thing, that he was becoming arguably the greatest player in the history of Japanese high school basketball. His skill, his discipline, and his intelligence enabled him to lead Mesei High School to 3 straight All-Japan High School Tournament titles. Young Rui Hachimura is becoming the greatest high school basketball player in Japan, and his next challenge was to perform for the junior national team. He would play for the Japanese youth national team in a few national tournaments. The FIBA Asia Under-16 Championship in 2013, where he averaged 22 points per game along with 12 rebounds. But more notably, in 2014, he would play in the FIBA Under-17 World Championship, where he would average 22 points and score 25 points against a Team USA that had Jason Tatum on it. International basketball scouts all over the world are getting to know this young rising basketball superstar from Japan. So young Hachimura has gone from a high school basketball superstar in Japan to playing for the junior national team. The next stop, he was invited to the Jordan Brand Classic. This was another chance for the young basketball superstar from Japan to get himself noticed by professional and NCAA scouts. He would play in the Jordan Brand Classic, where he'd record 9 points and 5 rebounds in the international fixture. The question for this young basketball superstar from Japan was, would Rui Hachimura go straight to professional basketball, or would he go to the NCAA? Well, in 2015, he signed a letter of intent to the University of Gonzaga. Now, there were questions over his eligibility due to his comprehension and understanding of the English language. But just as he had done on the basketball court, Rui Hachimura would work so hard in the classroom to ensure that his academic success would be enough to get him into Gonzaga University. He would pass the SAT and become eligible. The reason he chose Gonzaga? Because it reminded him of his native Japan. In the summer of 2018, Rui Hachimura was called up to the Japanese national team in a must-win game against Australia for qualification to the FIBA World Cup in China.
There's the rebound. No foul. All the way down. Hachimura! The thunder dunk. This could be all she wrote. Dellavedova may get a 3. Goulding does instead. Oh, 1-point game. Beat that, can you? That's game over. A 1-point victory for Japan. They put themselves in contention to qualify.
So Hachimura would return to Gonzaga, but this would be his final season in the NCAA. Because he was becoming such a dominant basketball player, the NBA would soon be his next destination. So Hachimura was drafted by the Washington Wizards in the 2019 NBA draft. He would start his career in the NBA Summer League with the Washington Wizards, and he was proving himself to be the future of the Washington Wizards franchise. The question is not only what makes Rui Hachimura the future Japanese basketball, but the future franchise player of the Washington Wizards. Well, his skill. He can shoot and dribble the basketball very well. His discipline, but more importantly, his intelligence. He's a very smart basketball player.